Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have played a goalless draw with the Warriors of Zimbabwe in their qualifiers ahead of the African Cup of Nations 2025. And cold-blood murder shocks the Bamufuk community in Buda, that is in the Bambutus division, after a 58-year-old man was found dead in his home. And 17 suspects accused of the murder of radio host Martinez Zogo plead not guilty, paving the way for substantive debate on the trial and hearing scheduled for September 30, 2024. Top stories.
Canal International.
Welcome to join me. I'm Kejang Henry at Team Before the News. Cameroon has played a goalless draw with the to be played in Morocco. It was not an easy walk with the Warriors of Zimbabwe, a match that was played, games that will be played subsequently. Our sports team will be coming up with detailed analysis of that game in our subsequent programs. Meantime, investigations have opened up to uncover the mask behind the murder of a 58-year-old man who was found dead in his home in Buda, precisely in the community of Bamufuk. Details with Morindi.
In a chilling crime that unfolded overnight in the village of Bamemboro, located in Bacham subdivision of Bambutus, a 58-year-old man identified as Nocha Maurice was tragically murdered by unknown assailants. The victim was found in his home, having been attacked while asleep in his bed.
Il y a un notable qui est ici en haut qui m'appelle. Il vient d'être informé de ce que les voleurs ont agressé Commando.
Reports indicate that the attacker, after carrying out the killing, fled the scene with the victim's mobile phone. The incident was reported to local law enforcement early this Tuesday. Responding promptly, the commander of the Mbacham Gendarmerie Brigade arrived on the scene with a public prosecutor from the Court of First Instance in Buda and a forensic pathologist.
Il a d'abord appelé en disant qu'il réclame mon père 5 millions. Il a remboursé 2 millions, il manque 3 millions.
After examining the scene and confirming the cause of death, the authorities handed over the body to the family for burial. In the aftermath of the crime, local gendarmes swiftly launched an investigation with officers already making progress. In an unrelated event, the gendarmerie arrested a suspected pig thief during the operation. Investigations are continuing their efforts to apprehend the individual responsible for this heinous crime. The murder has left the small village of Bamemboro in shock, with residents calling for swift justice as investigations proceed.
And in Yaoundé, 17 suspects accused of the murder of radio host Martinez Zogo have pleaded not guilty, paving the way for a substantive debate and trial, as well as hearings scheduled to take place on September the 30th. They were at the military tribunal yesterday, as we learned from you, Beatrice Ngamo.
Several small and medium-sized enterprises in Douala.
They sit hearing on the Martinez Zogo case, named after the media professional, kidnapped, tortured, and then assassinated last January 22nd, 2023, at the Yaoundé Military Tribunal yesterday, September 9, began with some notification.
The progress is that they have told to the accused the charges on which they have to be trialed. So for me, it is already an evolution.
The first time the accused spoke in public during these proceedings in court, one after the other, whether charged with murder, complicity in murder, torture, and violation of instructions, they all pleaded not guilty to the charges.
But at the end of the day, we saw a kind of evolution in the perception of the trial. So I hope next trial on September the 30th, yes, things are going to continue in that same movement.
The court wanted to continue the trial by inviting the various defense lawyers to raise their objections, but unanimity was quickly reached for a postponement after certain lawyers requested more time to refine their case. Before the announcement of the postponement, the question of the place of the state in the trial, although decided during the previous hearing, the court still maintained that the state whose agents are implicated through the Cameroon Intelligence Service will be cited in this case in the sole capacity of civilly liable, where its lawyers also wish to constitute themselves as a civil party. Ground level for substantive debate on the trial of the Marzo Go case come the last day of this September 2024.
And we are back in Douala, where Cameroon Employers Association JECAM has accused some agents of the Ministry of Trade for selling businesses, accusing them for violating rights. They made this declaration of condemnation today, as we hear from you, Amboga Distiba.
Several small and medium-sized enterprises in Douala have been forced to close their doors after agents from the Ministry of Trade's control unit sealed them during unannounced checks. These businesses are accused of not adhering to administrative procedures, but some business owners and the Cameroon Employers Association, JECAM, have criticized these reasons as unfounded. How can the management of a printing press be asked to provide a medical certificate and a price list? Every production in the printing industry is tailored to customer demand. We provide services, not goods. We can't be held to the same standards as retail businesses. After receiving multiple complaints from affected enterprises, JECAM has brought the issue to the Ministry of Trade's attention, highlighting the irregular sealing of businesses and the hefty fines that accompany these actions. The association argues that these practices disrupt the functioning of commercial activities.
The problem is that the checks are too much. They can have like 2 or 3 checks per semester, and it's too much for them. And all those checks, they always come out with a fine or a sanction. The minister could sanction those agents who are found guilty.
These disruptions negatively affect businesses. Imagine an enterprise being sealed for baseless reasons and unable to operate for 2 to 3 days. There are bills and salaries that still need to be paid. It's really painful. There is an urgent need to call these control agents to order. JECAM continues to urge the Ministry of Trade to sanction the agents involved in what it describes as abuses the business community in Cameroon.
Years to strengthen Cameroon's health system.
The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and Cameroon's Ministry of Public Health, this to strengthen health services and bolster the nation's ability to detect and control epidemic threats. She began with HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria through the implementation of the U.S. President by 2030, drawn from the December 2003 data from USAID, which shows that over 90% of the 500,000 people living with HIV knew their status. Nearly everyone diagnosed with HIV was on treatment, and nearly 90% of those on treatment reached viral suppression. Possible thanks to the services provided in more than 300 health facilities across the 10 regions of Cameroon. These contributions and the many achievements, what is being lauded today in Yaoundé by Public Health Minister Manauda Malashi, flanked by health partners in the presence of U.S. Ambassador to Cameroon, Christopher John Lamora. Some of the fruits of the relationship includes Cameroon's Public Health Emergency Operations Center that demonstrated outbreak response expertise and coordination during COVID-19 period. strengthening laboratory capacity and system, developing a robust health workforce and health security through training. The list is long. And through these concerted efforts, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention envision accelerating partnerships to bring malaria deaths and cases under control, particularly for vulnerable populations such as children.
Meantime, there have been reports of an 80% increase of new infections of HIV and AIDS in the Adamawa region, with young girls bearing the brunt. The civil society organizations and that part of the country have been doing a lot to sensitize the population. Beatrice Ambu Gladys Diban reports.
The health of young people in the Adamawa region is under increasing scrutiny, particularly girls between the ages of 15 and 24. Alarming figures from the Ministry of Health reveal that young girls are disproportionately affected by HIV/AIDS. Out of nearly 9,000 cases recorded in the region, a staggering 7,115 are young girls compared to just 1,875 boys. These figures from a 2023 voluntary screening operation have been widely circulated by civil society groups and health authorities, sparking urgent calls for action.
7,115 jeunes filles contre 1,875 garçons infectés du VIH-Sida, soit un total de 8,990 jeunes âgés de 15 à 24 ans testés positifs au VIH-Sida en 2023.
This imbalance highlights a critical public health issue, prompting the Cameroun Youth Network, in collaboration with the civil society, to intervene. The organization recently concluded a week of intensive activities aimed at raising awareness and providing crucial healthcare services in Gaundere. The campaign offered voluntary and free screening for HIV/AIDS and viral hepatitis to young people alongside educational sessions designed to inform and empower. 50 vulnerable young girls had undergone specialized training sessions that covered a wide range of topics, from understanding the HIV/AIDS virus to discussing gender-based violence and menstrual hygiene.
Des choses sur le VIH que je ne savais pas. Ce que j'ai retenu, que le VIH, c'est un virus immunodéficience humain. Donc, tout un chacun doit se protéger.
The HIV prevalence rate in the Adamawa region hovers around 7%, underscoring the pressing need for sustained efforts to combat the spread of the virus.
Meanwhile, despite efforts by meteorologists in Cameroon, many Cameroonians are still disconnected from weather forecasts, citing cases of inconsistency in weather predictions. However, some have recognized the vital role that weather forecasts play in their daily life. Sherifa Saleh.
In Douala, Cameroon's largest city, a noticeable disconnect exists between residents and weather forecasts. Many individuals express frustration with the odd matches between predicted and actual weather conditions, leading to widespread skepticism. I always consult Google for weather forecasts, although there are days it works, while there are other days it doesn't. It has been a week that I don't consult the weather forecast online because it gives false information. Others shared similar sentiments, underscoring the perceived uselessness of weather information. When I leave my house and the weather is good, then fine. And when it's raining, if I can go about my activities, I go. I don't consult the weather forecast online. However, not everyone shares this view. Some Douala residents recognize the importance of weather forecasts in planning their daily activities. It's very important because the weather controls us to do everything, from how we go about our activities and how we dress. In response to these concerns, the Meteorological Office in Douala is intensifying efforts to disseminate accurate and reliable weather information. We work with local radio houses who publish information on weather forecasts in native languages so the local population have a clue on it. We equally have partnerships with some media houses with directives from the Ministry of Transport.
Certains médias, conformément aux directives du ministre des Transports.
To bridge the gap between forecast and reality, the Meteorological Office is increasing public awareness and collaborating with local authorities to integrate weather information into daily planning. By addressing the concerns of Douala residents, the Meteorological Office aims to promote a culture of weather awareness.
And let's take a look with Cynthia Lati on how many times you need to change your beddings. As experts say, persistent changing of beddings will permit you to have a good sleep and, of course, to fight diseases. Cynthia Lati.
Mostly built to suit sleep, stay or rest, beds and mattresses are dressed with sheets. The frequency at which these bed sheets are changed vary from person to person, with cleanliness seemingly a strong motivation.
For the men, you can change the bed sheet after 1 week.
3 fois par semaine pour changer les draps.
Je change les draps 1 fois par semaine lorsque je suis avec mon mari.
In Douala, residents have developed methods to cater for their bed sheets to ensure proper hygiene.
To take care of the bed sheet, use the, how you call in French, detergent. You can wash it simply and dry on the sun.
Because
the kids are around, they tend to dirty the sheet when they climb on the bed. To reduce my workload, I remove the bed sheets, fold them and keep them during the day and put them back in the evening. This saves them from stains. According to health experts, it is dire for homes to normalize changing their bed sheets once to twice in 2 weeks.
Experts recommend to change bed sheets every 2 weeks, but for children, sick people, or the ones sweating much during night, it's necessary to change them every week. Taking bath before sleeping in the night seems to diminish the amount of germs we bring to our beds also. This frequency is important to kill bacteria or germs and avoid allergies, to preserve the lifespan of our bed sheets, and also for a better quality of sleep.
The dangers of inappropriate hygiene of bed sheets are also a call for concern.
Bed sheets should be washed at a temperature of 40 to 60 degrees Celsius with disinfectants to be sure all the germs have been killed successfully. We also need to dry them well and iron them before using them. The dangers of inappropriate hygiene of bed sheets are allergies, namely the respiratory ones such as rhinitis due to mice and pollen, skin irritations, spread of contagious diseases to all the family, and also a bad quality of sleep.
Residents have been urged to value the hygiene and sanitation of their bed sheets.
And the report there by Cynthia Lati draws the curtain for this edition of the news. Just to remind you that Cameroon and Zimbabwe have played a goalless draw in March counting for the qualifiers of Morocco 2025. I've been Kijang Henry Atimbe, thanking you for being there with us today. Good day.